Before Trading Places became a holiday staple and one of the most re-watched comedies of the 1980s, it was something far riskier. A $15 million experiment built on ego, improvisation, and one dangerous question. What if you took two men from opposite ends of society, flipped their lives overnight, and let human nature do the rest? That question didn't just drive the story on screen, it haunted the production behind the scenes as well. Fact number 1 begins with the script itself, which originally wasn't a comedy at all. Early drafts leaned darker, almost cruel, closer to a social satire with sharp teeth than a crowd-pleasing hit. The studio wanted laughs. The writers wanted bite. What you're watching is the result of compromise, where jokes disguise something far more uncomfortable. The final script still smuggles in class warfare, racial tension, and moral collapse, but it does so with a smile. That's why the jokes land harder. You're laughing, then realizing what you just laughed at. Fact number 2. Eddie Murphy wasn't just cast. He was the gamble. In 1983, Murphy was 21 years old, fresh off 48 Hours, and already labeled difficult by some executives. Paramount executives reportedly debated for weeks whether he could carry half the film. His salary was $1 million. Huge at the time for someone so young. What if he failed? The studio would have lost millions. Instead, Murphy's performance redefined what a movie star looked like in the Reagan era. His charisma didn't just save the movie, it changed Hollywood's risk tolerance overnight. Fact number 3 involves Dan Aykroyd, who pushed his body and reputation further than anyone realized. The drunken Santa scene wasn't written as extreme as what you see on screen. Aykroyd insisted on pushing it darker, messier, and more humiliating. He gained weight intentionally for the role, wanting the physical transformation to feel real. The result was uncomfortable and unforgettable. For audiences over 50 watching today, that scene hits differently. It's not slapstick. It's watching dignity evaporate in public. Fact number 4. Jamie Lee Curtis nearly wasn't in the film at all. The studio wanted a bigger name or a safer choice. Curtis fought for the role, knowing it would break her scream queen image. Her topless scene, still talked about decades later, wasn't exploitation. It was strategy. Curtis later admitted she used it to seize control of her career. The move worked. Within 2 years, her salary tripled, and Hollywood stopped seeing her as disposable. That moment wasn't just bold, it was calculated. Fact number 5 centers on the Duke brothers, inspired by real people. The writers openly admitted Randolph and Mortimer Duke were based on actual Wall Street figures, wealthy commodities traders obsessed with control. Their infamous $1 bet wasn't random. It symbolized how casually the ultra-rich gamble with human lives. What if your entire existence could be flipped for the price of a sandwich? That's the joke. And that's the horror. The Dukes weren't villains in capes. They were worse. They were realistic. Fact number 6 reveals how close the movie came to financial disaster. The orange juice trading climax confused test audiences during early screenings. Commodities trading wasn't common knowledge in 1983. The studio nearly cut the entire sequence. Instead, they added extra dialogue, visual cues, and pacing changes. The final version turned a complex financial scam into one of the most iconic revenge scenes in movie history. Years later, real traders would cite Trading Places as the reason they understood futures markets at all. Fact number 7 is about improvisation and near chaos. Much of Eddie Murphy's dialogue wasn't scripted. His street hustler backstory was largely invented on set. Director John Landis allowed Murphy to run scenes long, capturing raw energy. But this caused tension. Crew members complained the shoot was falling behind schedule. What if the studio had intervened? The film might have lost its edge. Sometimes chaos is the ingredient studios fear most and need the most. Fact number 8. The film quietly changed federal law. Yes, really. In 2010, the Eddie Murphy rule was added to commodities trading regulations. It made the exact scam from the movie illegal in real life. Few films can claim they influenced US financial policy. Fewer still did it by accident. That single scene, played for laughs, exposed a loophole that had existed for decades. Comedy revealed what watchdogs missed. Fact number 9 dives into the music. The choice to open with Mozart over shots of Philadelphia wasn't random. It was intentional contrast. High culture over working-class struggle. The filmmakers wanted viewers to feel the disconnect instantly. While executives dined in marble halls, the city moved below them, invisible. That opening sequence sets the moral tone before a single joke is told. It's elegant and it's ruthless. Fact number 10 ends this first half on a warning. Trading Places was marketed as a comedy, but many early reviewers were uneasy. Some critics called it mean-spirited, others said it was too honest. Over time, audiences understood what the critics missed. The film wasn't mocking the poor, it was exposing the systems above them. That's why it aged so well. That's why, decades later, it still feels uncomfortably relevant. Fact 11 begins with the film's most infamous prop, the orange juice cartons in the trading floor scene. On set, hundreds of cartons were stacked precariously for the shot, and one slip could have sent the entire sequence into chaos. During rehearsal, several fell, narrowly missing extras and crew. The team decided to leave a few deliberately unstable stacks on camera to heighten realism. What you see on screen, the tension, the rushing extras, even Murphy's startled reactions, was partially genuine panic. That blend of planning and near disaster made the climax unforgettable. Fact 12 involves a surprise cameo that most viewers never notice. For just a few seconds, a young Wesley Snipes can be seen walking through the background of the ice skating scene. He wasn't credited, and few knew he'd auditioned for a larger role. This tiny appearance became a legendary Easter egg for fans decades later, showing how small choices can ripple through pop culture history. Fact 13 centers on budget improvisation. The team ran out of funds midway through shooting the market scenes. Instead of cutting, Landis used clever camera angles, tight close-ups, and digital composites that were revolutionary for 1983. What looked like a bustling, high-stakes commodities floor was actually a cleverly crafted illusion of size and chaos. The lesson? Sometimes constraints breed creativity, and what could have been a disaster became a defining cinematic moment. Fact 14 dives into casting tension. Murphy and Aykroyd didn't always see eye to eye. Reports suggest that early on, Murphy felt overshadowed in some scenes, while Aykroyd struggled with Murphy's improvisational style. They nearly walked off set during one ice skating scene that required precise timing. Fortunately, both recognized the stakes and collaborated. That friction, though, added a subtle electricity to their on-screen chemistry. Fact 15 uncovers a secret script rewrite. During production, the ending was changed multiple times. Originally, the Dukes were supposed to survive and face minimal consequences. Test audiences reacted poorly, they wanted justice. The writers rewrote the finale in just 3 days, creating the now iconic moment where the Dukes lose everything. That last-minute rewrite not only satisfied audiences, it cemented the film as more than a comedy. It became a story of poetic retribution. Fact 16 revolves around the hidden social commentary. Trading Places subtly critiques wealth inequality and social mobility decades before it became a major political talking point. By showing a Wall Street bet worth more than $1 million, determining the lives of 2 men, the film exposes a system where money dictates morality. This is why older audiences watching today might feel a chilling resonance. The absurdity is funny, yes, but it's grounded in real-world dynamics that remain unsettling. Fact 17. The chemistry between Curtis and Murphy was largely unplanned. While much of their romantic tension was scripted, the playful banter came from long hours on set and natural rapport. Some scenes, including their famous flirtation in the Duke Mansion, were improvised over multiple takes. The result is a believable magnetic connection that elevates scenes far beyond a standard comedy trope. Fact 18 concerns one of the film's most daring moments, the ice skating sequence. What looks effortless required intense practice. Curtis, an accomplished skater, guided Murphy and Aykroyd, but during filming, Murphy nearly collided with an extra in a dangerous fall. Production almost halted. The team's solution was innovative, choreographed chaos, balancing precise movement with stage disorder. Watching it now, you're seeing artistry disguised as spontaneity. Fact 19 delves into deleted scenes that never made the final cut. One sequence involved a much darker take on the street hustler lifestyle, highlighting Murphy's character's struggle in Philadelphia's slums. Test audiences found it too grim, so it was cut, but Landis later admitted it added depth to the story he wished had stayed. The film could have been even grittier, but sometimes editing defines legacy. Finally, Fact 20, the film's lasting legacy in pop culture and beyond. Trading Places didn't just entertain. It influenced fashion, comedy timing, and even financial literacy. Economists still reference the movie when teaching market manipulation, while decades of comedians cite Murphy's performance as revolutionary. It was a movie about risk, greed, and identity, and it managed to be hilarious while asking uncomfortable questions about society. Which secret shocked you the most? From improvised chaos to real-world policy implications, this film proves that even comedies can leave a lasting imprint on culture, economics, and human perception. 2 decades later, Trading Places remains a masterclass in balancing humor, risk, and social commentary. The behind-the-scenes stories remind us that what we see on screen is often the tip of a chaotic, expensive, and brilliant iceberg.